You've got the words to change a nation, but you're biting your tongue. You've spent a lifetime stuck in silence, afraid you'll say something wrong.
Alright, hello. Where do I start from? Okay, let me share a bit of experience. I remember one time when I was in a bus and this old man, relatively old, yes, he was old, and he finished taking orange and he threw the pillow on the floor, and all through my body I was shivering. I was like, what is this? We hear people complain. It's easy to complain, it's easy to say things. We hear people complain about the economy, we hear people complain about the state of the nation, we hear people complain about the environment, but really, are we ready to take this upon ourselves? If the government builds drainages and we end up littering the drainages, we end up clogging the pipes, really, have we made any progress? One thing I always like to point out is that we have to be ready for change. It's not just talking change. Change is a process, change is a mindset, change is a state of being, and we have to be ready for change. I'll talk briefly on something I titled Some of the Old, Some of the New, Let's Build a Better Future. Basically, when we talk about youths today, and we talk about youths taking the roles of leadership, and we talk about youths getting at the forefront or getting a seat at the decision-making table, I always like to ask the question, if you give our youths the responsibility currently in the state that they are, will they not make a shipwreck of the whole thing? Will they not do more harm than the people before them have done? And I also want to point out something. Whether we demand a seat at the decision-making table or not, whether we ask that we be put in positions where we're able to make things happen, where we're able to influence decisions, whether we ask for that or not, eventually we will still be the people making the decisions. We will still be the people, we'll get to be the people that are at the forefront. And if we're not ready by the time those reins fall into our hands, we'll make a shipwreck of the whole thing. We know the basic characteristic of the youth. Part of the things that you expect in every youth that is going somewhere to happen, or every youth that wants to make a change, is there is always passion, there is vigor, there's creativity. You find people that have zeal, and there's a lot of drive. But let's not mistake that drive for the capacity to do. Having a passion about something or being passionate about something is one thing. Having capacity to influence that thing or having capacity to bring that thing to an outcome is another thing. And I think that usually is missing. Information, they say, is power. I like to say useful information coupled with the capacity to influence or coupled with the capacity to do or to act on it is truly power. That you know something is going to happen or that you know there will be a turn of events is mere knowledge. It doesn't translate into power. But that you're able to influence the outcomes of those decisions or the outcomes of those events or the outcomes of the series of things that's supposed to happen, that's truly power. Your belief in yourself, that you believe well enough in yourself that you can accomplish something without corresponding action, really won't do anything. Being motivated enough or being motivated alone rather won't translate into capacity to do something. I'd like to share something I read it a while back, and I'd just like to share it here. Some of the best lessons that we ever learned are learned from the past mistakes, and the errors of the past is the wisdom and success of the future was by Dale Turner. And as a Nigerian youth, I know I don't even have to look far. I don't have to go far before I see errors. I see errors, I see mistakes, I see things that people have done that were not so. I can't class that as the right decision. I can't say the generation ahead of me has done the best that they possibly can. What I can't say that, will I rest on my house and say, okay, I'll keep complaining about what they have done or what they have not done, or I would take the things, the decisions they've made, see the outcomes, learn from it, and use it as an instrument to make better decisions when I eventually get into those points. What I believe our generation needs to do is sit down, learn from history in order to build a better future. If not, there's something about succession, and it's very key, it's very vital. It's not enough to say power should change hands, authority, the lines of authority should change. We need to, the youths of today need to be able to, let me just take an example out of one of the best books on youth, one of my favorite books. We know the Moses and Joshua scenario. If Joshua wasn't able to run at least as well as Moses, he would have compromised all that Moses had done. So no matter how much good or how little good the present generation does our nation or they do our society, if we are not able to do at least as well means we are just keeping the challenges and we keep moving them forward. But we have to be able to do at least as well as they can do. If not, we repeat the same things that they did and even cause more havoc in our generation. The current situation we find ourselves in this nation or in our society is due to the wisdom and the errors of the generations before us. They have had to make complex decisions, they have had to take a stand. Some of them we see were clearly, or to us, didn't seem like the right things to be done. To us, to some other people, it seemed like, they had they made fair decisions and stuff like that. But really, it's not always that easy. We need to understand. I remember listening to a talk by Condoleezza Rice, and she said, I would accept your opinions if you give me your opinions, but I won't accept your uninformed opinions, because clearly you don't know how difficult it is to make complex decisions when you have to weigh odds. You don't have all the facts, you don't have all the information you like to use to make a decision, but really you don't have the privilege of not making a decision. So you really have to take a stand, and if we're not ready for that time, and all we have is passion, zeal, and the drive to change, would wreak havoc, would cause more harm than good. We're in an age and time where there is so much knowledge around. There has never been a generation that had information flying around the way we have now. Everybody knows everything. There's social media, the world is now a global village, everything, news gets around faster, it's no more the traditional means of information dissemination. And just, there are a lot of people, with this time, there are a lot of people who want to be heard. There's probably there's some other young man out there who wants the world to hear his own opinions on how youth leadership should work, or how youth should be given a seat at the table. And this is good. While this is good, what we need to do is we need to take out the knowledge from our books, take out the knowledge from our literatures, take out the knowledge from our motivational speeches, and start doing something. Because if we don't take the passion we get and the knowledge we get from that feel-good experience and take it out there to cause a change, to start from where we are with what we have and with what we can do, we won't do anything. We just keep listening to this message. Fela Duroti, which I respect a lot, will talk and you listen and you feel good for the first week. After that, you're back to doing the same things you were doing. You didn't take what you heard out of there. You only had a feel-good experience. While it looks like I'm hindering I'm tackling the youth, I'm not putting the youth down, I'm challenging the youth to come up higher. We can't continue to do the things we were doing and expect different results. That we definitely will need the guidance of the generation that went ahead of us, or the generation before us. Yes, they have their errors, yes, they have their wrongs, but there's one thing they know. They've seen history, they've seen systems, they've seen people, they've seen things fail on a colossal scale, and they've seen things work on a very good scale. So what we need to do, I'm of the opinion that you take that passion that you have as a youth, take that burning desire you have as a young person, learn from history, learn from mistakes, and do something with it, so you have wisdom in addition to all this. Do you know the stories of the system, and these things will come in handy if you are truly going to make meaningful impact. It's one thing to have leaders who have visions, who are driven, who want to influence the world, who want to change their world in their own little way. But it's also another thing to have a leader who understands execution and understands excellence. and I think that's one thing we need. So our challenge just basically learn all you can, acquire the capacity to do, start where you are with what you have, with what you can do, but don't stay there for too long. Expand your horizons. And note one thing, just like we are blaming the generation that has gone ahead of us, the people that would soon leave, for the mistakes that they have made or for the things that they haven't put in place. We are blaming the employment situation on the government, we are blaming the state of the nation and the state of our politics on the way politics has been handled since we gained independence or even before then. We are blaming the environment or the local governments before then. The future will also ask our history what we did with our time on the earth. Our future will also ask our history what we did with our time on the earth if we don't make the future better ahead of us. Just as we are holding them responsible. Other people, your kids, my kids, your younger brother, your niece, your little nephew would ask you what you did with your time if the society is the same then as it is now. Thank you very much. Peace.